Welcome back, everybody, inside the Other Team podcast, collabing with Ramblin and Gamblin for your Week 5 fantasy, update and preview here. You got our starts, our sits, our flex plays. There's still stuff on the waiver wire, believe it or not. I know it feels like it gets so thin this time of the year, but trust me, there's still stuff of value on that waiver wire. Zack Handy here with Terence Scott. We got one on the IR today as well. Jake's not here, but we still got his picks, his starts, his sits, all that good stuff. The Other Team podcast with Ramblin and Gamblin for your fantasy update. Terence, who you got starting this week? Give me something good.
I'm starting Justin Herbert, the quarterback of the LA Chargers versus the New Orleans Saints. We all know their defense is a little beat up, even though they did play well last week versus the Lions. That offense still, their defense did still give up some points. So I do like Herbert in this matchup. He's targeting Keenan Allen like crazy, even though they are going to be missing Austin Eckler. I think that will help him in the sense of he will start throwing the ball more and hit Joshua Kelly and Justin Jackson out the backfield still as well. So I'm feeling Justin Herbert versus the Saints.
I think there's so much to like with Herbert here, right? I mean, he already got tested in his first ever game when he has to go up against Pat Mahomes, right? Then he faces Tom Brady last week and really duels well. You know, throws for 290, 3 touchdowns, really goes toe-to-toe with the GOAT. And then you go to a next GOAT this week. I don't think any of that's going to be trouble. And to your point with Eckler being out for a while, this is a good opportunity for them to kind of give him more responsibility, more of the game plan, more of the reins in this game and test him and see if he's capable against a banged up New Orleans secondary. I think there's a lot of value here. Sneaky 1,000%. Good play. And to all my bettors, I think this could be an over game as well. You could see it go up just like they did against the Bucs. I think there could be a lot of scoring in this game. I think there's a lot to like there. As for me, I got Rex Burkhead in New England. And I know it's like, wow, go to the New England backfield for a start. Bold move, Zach. I agree, but it's so McDaniels and it's so New England that as soon as one guy gets going, Harris had the big week last week against the Chiefs. I know the game was a blowout, but they really went to Harris there. It's very Patriots to now go back to the last guy. We saw it for years. One week it was Blount, and then the next week it was Rex Burkhead, speak of the devil right here, you know. And then, you know, one week it's Sony Michel, and then next week it's James White. Or it's so them to go back and forth. So I like Rex Burkhead coming out of the backfield. I think they're going to have to utilize the screens more to get these quarterbacks. If Cam doesn't play, to get these quarterbacks just in rhythm and kind of treat them as if they're almost rookies because they looked so bad this past week. So I think there's a lot of value with Burkhead there. I like him. If you got banged up with the Chubb injuries, with the Eckler injuries, if you had maybe a San Francisco running back earlier in the year and now you have running back issues, I think there is value with Rex Burkhead. I like the start against the Broncos. I think the Patriots will probably get back to winning ways this week there.
100%.
For our man. Oh, go ahead.
We're going back to the same game that I had. Jacob's going with Emmanuel Sanders in the New Orleans game versus the Chargers. This start I am a little iffy on, but I do like the connection that I have seen Drew Brees and Emmanuel Sanders make over the last few weeks. It is starting to grow. So I do see the potential in this matchup because Michael Thomas probably will still not play. So Drew Brees is still needing receivers to throw the ball to. So Emmanuel Sanders is one of his best receivers, and their connection has grown over the last 3 weeks. So I do like that in that sense. So, and the Chargers defense isn't bad. So, but they might get to the quarterback. So it's going to make them get the ball out quickly, which is going to excel in Emmanuel Sanders. So.
Yeah, I think the connection's getting there. And I think, again, it goes back to like game plan. We all know Drew Brees isn't the guy to kind of extend it down the field anymore. And sure, when Michael Thomas is in the lineup, he's great at the intermediate routes, kind of the shorter routes. He'll break you off at the line of scrimmage and really get open. Now you have to look for someone else to kind of fill that void with Michael Thomas out. I think E-Man has kind of been growing in that role, learning that is more of his role, and he has to be bigger now. And I think you've seen it in the uptick in production.
And Drew showed last week against the Lions that he was pushing the ball downfield. So the narrative that the arm strength isn't all there, like it's somewhat true, but he still can throw the ball. He can still make the mid to somewhat deep throws. So.
Yeah, and it's Drew Brees. He's going to find a way to push the ball down the field. Just he might not rip it for 45 yards at a time in the air, but he's going to find a way to push that ball down the field through the air.
Who we got starting left bench and right bench? So who's our LBs and our RBs this week?
Left bench for me, I'm sticking in the same game as that Burkhead game, other side of the offense, this time for Denver. Jerry Jeudy, he's been, kind of looking better each week, but he's probably going to draw the role of Stephon Gilmore over there. And sorry, rookie, it might be a long day. That's probably the best corner in football. So I think Jerry Jeudy, steer clear this week, but get ready to put him back in your lineup probably after that. But steer clear. Bill Belichick always is probably the best in the league at taking away your number one.
Gilmore has COVID, so he's not going to play.
Oh, I still think Bill Belichick's the best at taking away your best.
No, I agree, though. He's most likely still going to have a bad game because Bill's a mad scientist, but it isn't going to be Gilmore in that match.
Yeah. That's slightly better news. I still don't like it. Backup quarterback situations going on in Denver. Plus, you got the mastermind Bill Belichick, who's going to take away your best weapon.
And Judy's a rookie.
To me, it's probably Jerry Jeudy on that offense. I guess it is Melvin Gordon. Maybe they force him to throw the ball. With
Noah Fant out and Cortland Sutton out, it's most likely Jerry Jeudy or maybe Tim Patrick. But
who's going to draw the best assignment is more than likely Jeudy. So I'm steering clear there. I don't like it. There's a lot going on. I don't like that situation.
I'm in that same game for my sit as well for honestly the same reasons. With Cam Newton's status being up in the air, unfortunately, we all seen what Brian Hoyer was about. Jarrett Stidham isn't that great either. So I'm sitting Julian Edelman for that reason. I don't like the matchup for him, even though they are going to try to get him the ball with these short throws and quick intermediate routes to try to get their quarterbacks in rhythm. But I still don't like that matchup. Denver does have a sneaky defense somewhat. So Julian Edelman is going to be my sit for sure.
Yeah. I think that's good there too. I'm kind of probably staying away from all passing options until I know concrete for certain Cam Newton.
I would stay away from that game.
Yeah, in general.
In general, I'm just staying away from that game.
For Jacob's got his sit left bench with Mostert coming back for the Niners. He says put Jerrick McKinnon back on the pine against the Finns this week. I think that makes sense with Mostert coming back. I think
it's also kind of like what you said with Shanahan. I mean, with Bill Belichick. Kyle Shanahan's a little like Bill Belichick with the musical chairs with his running backs as well. You never really know who's going to get the hot hand that week. Like, honestly, it's kind of impressive that Mostert has pulled away with the job because before that, it was musical chairs with Coleman, Mostert, Breida, and all of the other backs that they had. So it's kind of interesting. So I 1,000% agree with
the more guys that get healthy back
Wilson
in that
Jr.
The more you just stay away from all of them because it really is musical chairs with their run scheme.
Deebo Samuel runs the ball. Brandon Aiyuk runs the ball. Like
they don't necessarily think it's the running back that's so concrete in the production there. They're more on the assumption that it's the run scheme and the play calling that's going to get whatever running back we put back there into open field. So I agree. The more backs that get healthy in San Francisco, kind of steer clear of all of them because you never know who it's going to be. It's musical chairs and credit to a great offense. But for us fantasy players, darn you, it makes a damn hard decision to start and sit with you guys,
Exactly.
Flex plays of the week. These get more interesting as the years go on and kind of how some big names fall to this flex list or maybe some names that get the opportunity due to injury and that type of stuff. I'm going to keep rolling with the Justin Jefferson train. I'm going right back to it. This is another game I could see being high scoring. Seattle gives up a ton of points to receivers in fantasy. They do like to make plays at the end of games and kind of stand tall and win these games with Seattle. But they give up a ton of yards to receivers, a ton of catches. So I like Justin Jefferson and possibly a shootout in the Minnesota-Seattle game.
I like Justin Jefferson in this game as well for the simple fact that Seattle's defense is a bend that doesn't break defense. That works in real life, but in fantasy, oh my goodness, they're going to give you some points. That offense will light up. I wouldn't say they'll light them up, but Justin Jefferson will definitely make plays, and he's not a bad flex start for your team. Especially with all the injuries going on throughout the lineups and all the COVID stuff. So I love the Justin Jefferson matchup for sure. That's why I'm starting Brandon Aiyuk against Miami. Miami's isn't any good. I expect them probably to push out and get a good lead on them. So the way they get him involved, they like to run him. They throw him the ball as well. So Brandon Aiyuk is somebody they want to get the ball. They draft him in the first round for a reason. So they're just trying to get the ball in his hands because he's a playmaker. So that's my flex of the week for sure.
Yeah, and I think he's also like one of the go-to gadget guys, right? You get these quick, versatile guys out of the draft when they're young, and
he's like another Deebo,
like a cog in the gadget game. And if they're going with Beathard or Mullins, or even if it's a banged up Jimmy G this week, whatever the decision is, Kyle Shanahan's great ability to play call, they're going to go to some of that trickery. They're going to go to some of that gadget stuff. And I think that really benefits Aiyuk. He's going to be possibly the guy throwing a trick pass for a touchdown or receiving a trick pass, a double reverse, something. They're going to give it to him, get him an open space. A lot of big play capability with what they're going to have to do offensively this week in San Francisco. I think the later the year goes on is like the more you can kind of depend on these rookie receivers, you can kind of see which ones are coming to the cream of the crop, get more involved in the game plan. And I think both of our guys kind of fit that mold. The longer the year goes on, the more Justin Jefferson's going to get look, the more Brandon Aiyuk's going to have to get involved in that offense because they need a little bit of more playmakers in San Francisco.
For sure.
Jacob's going to go with the screaming hot Dallas offense. He says put Michael Gallup in your flex this week. I really don't ever have a problem with Dallas offensive players in any of our starts or flex. That offense is about as dynamic as it comes. They just
the only concern is that they might blow the Giants out, and like it could be Zeke's getting a couple of big runs or Cooper caught a bomb or whatever the case be, and they blow them out. But it also could be Gallup was one of those guys that received one of those bombs, so he's a good flex play because the Giants aren't any good.
Yeah, so if it turns into a blowout, if it turns into a blowout, then it becomes a Zeke and Pollard type game. But we have seen that Dallas refuses to blow anyone out because they refuse to get stops defensively, which bodes well for the pass game. Dak's having literally astronomical passing numbers right now. So kind of any Dallas receiver that you got might be a play. I like Michael Gallup, always got big play capability.
Can't go wrong with a Dallas receiver right now.
Absolutely. You can't go wrong on a start or flex with a Dallas receiver. So Michael Gallup is the guy from Jake. And then
who's our free agents?
I'm like, hello, darkness, my old friend. You love to say that. And that's how it feels. That's how it feels with Waiver Wire this time of year. It's like you're really only searching the deeper you get because you've got banged up with injuries, or maybe you're trying to block a move from a player, a team you're facing or something like that. But there's still value out here. I know there's value on the waiver. It's crazy to think week 5 there's value, but there is. I think it's awesome that both of us went to the thinnest position in fantasy football for our waiver wire ads this week. That's great. That just shows you that there really is still value on the wire. I got Dalton Schultz. We just said can't go wrong with a passing target, a receiver in Dallas, tight ends involved. Dalton Schultz is proving to be one of those guys.
They love tight ends in Dallas.
Yeah, and he's averaging like 8 targets his last 2 or 3 weeks. I believe it's his last 3 weeks. He's up to eight targets a game. So I love opportunity. I preach it all the time on here. Jimmy Graham had some of his
best years under Mike McCarthy. So.
Absolutely. And I preach opportunity on here all the time. I always say that's something I love in fantasy players. And I think you're getting opportunity in the passing game no matter who you are in Dallas. So Dalton Schultz is somewhere for a thin position in fantasy, you could find value.
What's funny is my other pick was another tight end as well. It was the Packers tight end, Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, but and Jake mentioned him this week too.
Yeah, I got picked up a lot this week. So I felt like that was kind of a later pick. That should have been last week's waiver wire. But for this week, I'm going Dallas Goedert, same position, tight end. He's still hurt. He's still on the IR, but this is more of a stash play for you if you are looking at injuries or if your tight end's bye week hasn't came up yet and you're looking to stash somebody who could still potentially start for you and then even be a flex play because Philly still doesn't have any receivers, man.
Absolutely.
They still have not solved that out. And Zach Ertz is still getting targeted a lot. And when Goddard was healthy, they ran a lot of 2 tight end sets. So definitely think about stashing them.
Yeah, this is actually a genius play because I just said how thin the tight end position is. So maybe you don't get your hands on Tonyan, you miss out there. And then the next guy grabs Schultz, right? And you're really thin. You're looking for something. You're still sitting with Gronk on your starting lineup or something. And you're just kicking yourself in the butt thinking, gosh, how did I get here? Goddard is someone you grab now because there's value to help you at that position later. It's not an immediate relief, but it is somewhere, like you said, the passing game needs help in Philly and Carson Wentz needs more options. This is the guy. I mean, this is the guy that's going to do it for them. I love the idea. I think it's so funny that we could have gone, like you said, 3 tight ends for waiver wire pickups, and it's the thinnest position in football.
Exactly.
For Jake, though, he went running back. He did mention possibly go grab Tonyan if you see him out there, but he went running back. We all seen the bummer of an injury to Nick Chubb this week. He's going to be out for a while. Kareem Hunt steps up there. Jacob says go grab Dernest Johnson. He's going to be the one backing up Kareem Hunt now. I like it for two reasons. Guys like to vulture. We see it all the time in the NFL. There's always a backup running back that vultures. Also, this now means if you get Dernest Johnson, you're just a Kareem Hunt injury away from having an RB1. Obviously, no one wants to see players injured, but you have to kind of play for that retrospect sometimes and give yourself some outs in case something happens. So there's value there. I think if you're fairly deep at running back, go target him because he may come in later.
He's a good target for the simple fact that if you watch Browns games this year, they've been running two running backs faithfully anyway. So if you could look at it as Kareem Hunt is now stepping into Chubb's role and Dernest Johnson is now stepping into the role that Kareem Hunt was filling. So it's still a running back who's going to get a lot of touches and get a lot of plays because the Browns are clearly showing that they want Baker to turn around and hand it off.
Yeah.
So
this is kind of becoming, I think this is Sean McVay's kind of imprint on the league is if you have a questionable quarterback, they're kind of turning it into everything off of play action. And that's kind of how they're doing Baker. Run the hell out of the ball. Right. And then you can play action and make a quick, easy read to kind of get your quarterback playing better. And I think Cleveland has absolutely kind of made that their identity with we're a run first team and we'll make our quarterback work off of that. So I think you're right. There's a lot of value in Cleveland running backs. Targeting Dernest Johnson wouldn't be a bad idea at all. But that's week 5 in fantasy football. From the other team, Zack Handy, Jake Handy, Terence Scott, in association, I guess, collaboration with Ramblin and Gamblin, man. Week 5 fantasy preview from the other team.
We out.